Welcome to the Business Leader Series. Joining us today is Tim, the entrepreneurial mind behind PencilPay, a groundbreaking B2B SaaS platform revolutionizing the management of on-account trade credit for small and medium suppliers. Prior to his current venture, Tim achieved a remarkable success as the founder of Acquire Learning, a company that achieved an astonishing 100 million in turnover in just 4 years of inception. In addition to this impressive track record with Acquire Learning, he also served as the co-owner of career1.com.au. So, Tim, it's really lovely to have you on the show. I'm personally quite excited. I think the key thing that's coming up on my mind, and I'm sure for a lot of listeners, is what inspired your entrepreneurial journey? Because you've pretty much built up a couple of businesses, and it seems as though it's something that you've been deeply passionate about during your younger years as well.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. My journey started pretty early, I guess. I started off, and funnily enough, I was working for someone in a restaurant. I know it's a very small, humble beginning. I started washing dishes for a gentleman when I was 14 years old by the name of Elias Sahili, and he owned a restaurant just in the local area where I live and where I grew up. And he taught me a lot from the age of 14, and I worked for him all the way through till the age of 24. So the whole time, throughout the time I was at university and all that type of thing, I worked for him. And I learned a lot about the sacrifice and what it takes to run a business. And it's a small business. It was a restaurant. But the sacrifice and the amount of hours that he used to have to work and that type of thing was quite inspiring, and kind of it talks about that kind of second father that a lot of people talk about. You've got your normal, your regular father, of which mine is fantastic. But then you need to break away from that father, and you need to have that second father, and that could be a coach, it could be a coach, it could be an employer, it could be a martial arts instructor, it could be anything. But I think you do need to have that away from your immediate family to be able to be taught how to operate in business. I think that's super important. So I learned a lot from there. And then from there, I went over to work in New York as a waiter for 6-7 months in when I was about 24 years old, after I finished university, and then decided, all right, I'll come back. And I went and worked in the education space for about 2 weeks for someone. And then me and my best friend kind of had a look at the space and saw that it was operating in a very backwards way. And within a fortnight, we had coined a business idea, and we became a student recruitment business for colleges across Australia.
Yep, that's remarkable. And you do highlight a couple of key elements, particularly around the realities of building a business. Especially with the whole world of social media, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, everyone wants to make it big in life. But unfortunately, it's a lot of behind the scenes hard work. I mean, in your journey, obviously you've done a business degree, but it sounds like you've learned a lot from personal experiences and really getting that mentorship. For a lot of parents that want to get their kids into the entrepreneurial route, what's some of the advice that you have for them?
Don't do it. No, joking. Look, I would say that if you are the type of person that can't think about anything else but that, so if you're the type of person that either struggles to work for someone, I mean, I've never had that problem. Never had the problem where haven't liked authority or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more so wanting the freedom to be able to explore your ideas. And I think in today's world, the freedom to explore ideas is getting even more limited every week, every year, every day. So I think that the people that want to explore those ideas will become the people that are the business owners. And for some reason, I hate the word entrepreneurs. It's just not a word that really rings true with me. I think being a business owner is about being more than just a creative. It's about managing everything from the business idea to the execution to the financials and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I think that number one, you need to be sure that you want to do it. Number two, you need to have ideas flowing, because if you don't have ideas flowing now, today, you're not going to have ideas flowing when the shit hits the fan and you have to recreate the business.
Yep.
And the third thing is you need to be able to put in the work, and you need to be happy to be poor for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I think the poor element is something that rings true to a lot of people. I mean, one of the things that come to my mind is for a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, they've failed in their first couple of businesses. So, was Acquire Learning your first kind of business venture? Because I think you're doing a couple of consulting before that. But it'd be nice to hear some of the ideas that you've created, how it went, and then how you've kept being a builder come to fruition as well.
Yeah, interestingly enough, my first business that I started was Acquire Learning. We had a business prior called TJ Consulting, but TJ Consulting was basically the start of Acquire Learning. And we ran that for 2 years as a student recruitment business and built the model, I guess, the customer acquisition model in that business. And then we just went and created a company, because that previous business was a partnership, and it wasn't really the way that you should be running a large organization. So we went and just started a company, and from 2012 we ran that company, and that grew really, really fast. We had no idea what we were doing. We were 25 years of age, Jesse, my friend, and I. And we just got moving and started hiring people and started doing sales. And that was a very different business to what I'm running now. That was a very, heavy, good cash flow business that, we got paid every week from our partners, and cash flow wasn't an issue. So we had the ability to grow our team. This business, software as a service, very different model.
Yeah, so I mean, you touched base on some couple of things. It's interesting you shared that you were around 25 when you did that, because I was also in the education space, and there's a couple of things that I'd like to ask you around that space. One is timing to market, because during that period, obviously the education sector was booming, so it'd be good to learn a bit about how important you think timing to market is, and I think it ties back into PencilPay as well. I know that you've also shared in some of your public knowledge domains the fact that in the US people are still using checks, which for a lot of people would sound crazy, because you think the US, it's literally the heart of innovation. But the second thing is, for a lot of people, when they want to, as they're visualizing their career, as they're visualizing them getting into the entrepreneurial route, the biggest thing they feel as though is they're not ready yet. Like, as you've said, being a business owner is not just like managing one lane, whether it's operation, technology, sales. It's literally you being everything. So during such a young age and building a scalable business to where it was then, what do you feel was some of the fundamental ways you were able to learn quickly and apply it and execute it?
That's an interesting question. You can only learn by doing. Every business is different. You can go and be an employee in a business that's exactly like the business that you're starting, but the business will be vastly different to the one that you worked in. That's the first thing I'll bring up. The second thing is you're never ready. So the best businesses are ones that just happen organically. You go and you just do it and you learn on the job. I don't think you can ever be truly ready to start a business. I think you become ready because you learn stuff as you grow and as you hire, and you learn about the legals that you need to include in parts of your business. You learn about accounting and managing a profit and loss and all that type of thing. Before I started, I went to did a 4-year university degree, but I didn't know anything about managing the financials of a small business, and I didn't know anything about managing the legals, and I didn't know, I knew how to sell just because I'm that type of person. But aside from that, was really my only skill, being able to talk to people and being able to sell. So learning on the job and learning by doing really is the only way. You spoke about timing before, and I think that you're so right. Timing is I think it's probably the most important part of building a business quickly. You can build a great business, and your timing might not be right, but building a business really, really fast For us, that was on the back of a new funding scheme that came into the Australian education landscape called Vet Fee Help. We were, Jesse and I were people that did a lot of investigation, and we did a lot of research. And one of the pieces of research that we found was that the Gillard government was introducing a new funding scheme that made it a market-driven scheme where anyone would be able to access government funds on a demand-driven basis. So we thought that's a great opportunity for, number one, for people to get educated, number two, for people to get jobs, and number three, to build a great business around. So timing from that aspect was super important, and we wouldn't have been able to build as quickly as we did had we not had that funding scheme available. And I guess in this new business, PencilPay, the timing has been a very interesting one because we launched at the same time as when COVID hit. So in March of 2020, we actually launched in the Xero App Store in June of 2020. Okay. So a couple of months after COVID hit. Now, that was a double-edged sword. It was very, very positive in one way because it allowed us to transfer all of our customer acquisition online onto Zoom because everyone was doing Zoom. So it meant that we never had to go and literally do FaceTime with a client anymore. And I think that has changed a lot of businesses, and certainly technology businesses like ours. The ability to have 10 meetings in a day as opposed to 3 meetings in a day has made the efficiencies incredibly much better. So that's one thing. And I think timing-wise, off the back of COVID, in Australia certainly, a lot of people started to put their credit card down for subscriptions and for Uber Eats and for all these different types of things. Online payments became much more widely accepted, and people started to trust, online systems where they would leave their credit card and store their credit card. And that was integral for us to build our business. Our business is heavily built around a trade customer buying goods from a wholesaler, and that wholesaler gives them payment terms, 30 days, 60 days, what have you. But historically, that wholesaler hasn't been able to get any security around the credit that they're giving out, and they're not great at managing credit. So one of the benefits about being around during the time of COVID was people became used to putting their credit card down and storing their credit card. So that gave us the ability to come out of the pandemic where people felt a lot more comfortable as they were signing up to a supplier to store their credit card. So we built that into part of our business as a to obviously ride that wave, I guess.
Yeah. I think you're one of the luckiest people that I know, I must say, because literally, the feedback that I get, speaking with a lot of technology companies, is that COVID was almost like a blessing in disguise, where it really was focused on a lot of organizations rethinking how to work in the digital world. There was a lot of technology adoptions around that space as well. I mean, I think it is a bit of a double-edged sword. Totally agree with you because, from my understanding, a couple of your, key markets is organizations that have a requirement around people coming to the shops and, having a much more physical presence. One of the items that there's probably two items I just wanted to unpack. One is, how are you keeping afloat around the trends? One of the things I see is that literally the best way to capture an opportunity is to know what's trending and then really go for it and execute it. I think that's been the success for a lot of businesses. I think if you do it a bit later on track, competition increases, regulation increases. So it'd be nice to hear, what are some ways where you kind of are able to get a feel of the market, where it's going, where it's not. And I don't think it has to be about focusing on trends for the sake of business opportunities, but even just keeping up to date with the trends to support the customers. Because one of the things that I noticed about yourself, Tim, is that you're very passionate about the customers. Even with some of the YouTube shows that you've been doing, it's been really about elevating their profile and elevating their business as well.
Yeah. I guess to understand the trend or to predict what's going to happen, you need to understand the market that you're in, first of all. I have a I guess, quite a deep understanding of the type of people that we're dealing with, and that originated from the fact that the whole reason why I thought of the idea and built the platform in the first place was when I finished up with Acquire Learning, I went and took over a hospitality venue, and part of that process was I had to go and sign up with 22 different wholesale suppliers um, for stock for my venue. So that process entailed having to fill out a 6-page paper credit application form, and taking a lot of time and a lot of mess and a lot of paperwork and all that type of thing. And the whole concept and reason why we built the business, and as you talk about seeing trends, the trend was something that I experienced myself, which was that it's really shit to have to sit there and fill out a bunch of credit application forms. So that's what we built originally, a really easy to use integrated credit application form that built payments into it, so which would make it easier for both suppliers and their customers. So I think trends is first of all about understanding the business that you're in. Now we switched up and we weren't. Our business doesn't operate from the venue side or the buyer side or the tradesperson side or the retailer side. We operate from the supplier side. So that's a supplier, wholesaler, manufacturer. And the reason why we did that is because they're the ones that house the credit application form. So they're the ones that really were the ones that were going to be distributing our product.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Interesting. Okay. Just giving. I'm just thinking about some of the things that's come up for me. The one of the things that that the items that you shared that was quite fascinating was the fact that you actually went and worked in the restaurant and gained a real life experience. Okay, this is a real pain point. One of the things I often hear with the leaders as well is that when they're not getting deep connections with the customers, they're not aware of what are the real problems that the customer is facing. And as soon as they, like, whether it's CEO actually speaking with the client and doing customer interaction, I think it's been a game changer for a lot of businesses, because then they realize, oh wow, like our process hasn't been where it needs to be. The thing that I'd like to explore on that front is that, yes, there's an importance around just continuing to engage the customers to find innovative ideas, innovative problems to solve for. But the second thing that a lot of executives are also thinking about is growth. The economic environment at the moment, it's so turbulent that at times it's very hard to forecast exactly how the economy is going to turn out. Given your success around the sales and marketing spectrum, is there key things around, especially around virtual sales, is there any key things or insights that you've learned throughout that journey? Because, for me personally, I definitely agree with you. Like, especially like with the adoption around online meetings, like similar to Zoom, it's been a game changer, because you can literally have 10 meetings, as you said, and amplify the results. But I guess the other element is that when you do meet in person, it creates a deeper connection with people. So how have you seen the difference between meeting in person to virtual, and what would you recommend some of the executives around structuring their sales and marketing efforts?
So I might start with the first part of what you were talking about, which is I think what you were talking about was potentially business owners or executives almost getting too far away from the customer and not understanding truly what the customer needs.
Yep.
The good part about how we built this business is I've done every sale in the business. So we got a small team, and every sale in the business has been done by yours truly. And I also did all the training, all the onboarding and all that type of thing of every customer. Now, my business partner, Greg, he does a lot of the support and training and that type of thing now as well. But initially it was just me. So the beautiful part about, because he was off building the product, and the good part about that is you're constantly getting feedback from customers. And that we built our platform 100% on feedback from clients. When we first started, we literally built a gravity form on WooCommerce or WordPress, and that's how we started, because we just wanted to know. And Greg, being from a deep technology background, he said, Tim, there's no point building anything until we know that people will actually use something. So he just said, how about we build a gravity form? We get we get one customer to trial it with. If it works, we'll go and build something. So that's what we did. It worked, and then we went and built something. So I think, and then I've just constantly gathered feedback over a number of years, and I've given that to Greg, and he has just continually built the product based on feedback. So I think staying close to the customer as an executive and understanding where the true problem that the business solves, and then being able to get that feedback from the customer, I think that's very hard to maintain as you grow, and it's something that we would never want to lose. So you need to put good salespeople and good customer success people in place to be able to do that. That's the first part. The second part you spoke about was, how you sell and how you can maintain those sales efforts. I guess in a virtual marketplace and that type of thing. So a lot of the sales historically in our vertical, if you're selling to, trade-based wholesalers and that type of thing, a lot of it's been done at exhibitions and that type of thing. But COVID meant that we couldn't do any of that. So what we did was I actually went to an exhibition just before COVID started, and I met a bunch of what we call system integrators or implementation partners. Now, those system integrators are businesses that work specifically with a few different technologies, and one of those technologies is a business like Sin7 Core. So Sin7 is an inventory management system that integrates with Xero and QuickBooks and that type of thing. And wholesalers and suppliers will use that as their inventory system, and they'll connect that to maybe their e-commerce and their accounting software, right? Those systems are complicated and they take time to implement. So a lot of the businesses that use them implement through system integrators or partners. Now, what I did as our core go-to-market strategy is I find all of the system integrators that work with the various inventory management systems. We partner with them, and they include PencilPay as part of the tech stack that a supplier will use. So the vast majority of our business comes from referrals directly from our system integrator partners. And what that means is we need to continually do a good job. If we do a shit job, we won't get referrals. We do a great job, and we will. So that's what we need to keep doing. And that's a really nice, manageable customer acquisition method, and one that we've been able to use with a very small team.
Yeah, well said. I mean, during my time working in business development, it's literally what I saw was that, yes, there's the outbound efforts. I think it was a 30% conversion. However, when we started getting a lot of the referrals, it was literally like 70% conversion, and the sales cycle was a lot shorter as well. So I think that's definitely a great strategy. I mean, you talked a bit about the go-to-market strategy. For a lot of Australian companies, traditionally, I do want to be very frank around this piece, is that they've expanded to different markets, and to be quite frank with you, a lot of them have failed. For yourself, what has been your go-to thinking around expanding to the US market? And I guess what are some of the strategies that you've been thinking about as you enter that market? Because it seems like partners is definitely going to be on top of your list.
Yeah, I think timing and luck, as you said before, has a lot to do with it. We've managed to put ourselves in a good place to be able to explore the US market. The reason is our main technology and integration partner is a business, as I said before, called Sin7 Core, and they're an inventory system. Now, they got purchased 2.5 years ago by a US company, and that US company had a really core focus on US growth as one of their key targets. What that meant was they have really gone hard into the US market and done a lot of the work to be able to advertise their product and get their product known in the US. Now, the fact that we already integrated with Sin7 Core, and we obviously integrate with QuickBooks and Xero and all that type of thing as well, has meant that our existing partner network has been able to refer us US clients, and we've just been servicing and onboarding those US clients from Australia. And one of the really good things is that our relationship with them has opened up the US partner network to us as well. So we've been creating partnerships with the US partner network over there. And we aim to do the same thing with, the NetSuite partner network and all that type of thing as well. But
Mm.
for us, we've got a tiny team. We've got a team of 5 people.
Yeah.
So for us, we need to remain focused with everything we
Mm.
do. And
Yeah.
Since Evan and Core have been a fantastic partner for us up until this point, and will continue to be, and we'll put everything behind them.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a nice growth story as well in terms of the fact that you don't need to hire a bunch of people to achieve a certain business result. Sometimes it is thinking about it strategically and figuring out what the levers you need to pull to drive the maximum growth. I mean, there's a couple of things that would fascinate a lot of people. One is the fact that you're in a technology business, but you don't have the technology background. So, would you be able to kind of share how did you navigate that? Because yeah, for a lot of uh, people that have these great app ideas, they got the ideas, but then they're stopped at that. So it'd be nice to share your story on finding your co-founder and just learning some of the finer details as well around the technicals.
Sure. First thing is, I've got to say I'm a very lucky person to have such a good business partner. That's
Yeah.
that's something that you choose. Sometimes it just falls in your lap, and sometimes you choose it. For me, it was both. When I was going through the process of filling out a bunch of credit applications, Greg actually came into my cafe. Greg and I had known each other for
Yep.
years, and he came into my cafe and saw me under a pile of paperwork. So that was very, very, very serendipitous
Yeah.
how that worked out. But we got to talking, and he'd been operating a software development firm for around about 13 years
Yep.
out of Vietnam at that stage.
Mm.
So he built hundreds of projects for big Aussie brands. So
Yep.
he could
And I
do the
think he did a
job.
lot of stuff with
He could do the job standing on his head
Mm.
and build the product standing on his head. So
Yep.
for him, he was very keen to go off and actually try his own product rather than building other people's products.
Yep.
And so for him, the timing was good. And for me, I was never going to go and get a job and go and work for someone. So I think
Yep.
the next phase for me was to go and do this. And I've
Mm.
always had a keen interest in technology at Acquire Learning, and certainly at Career One. We built a lot of technology
Yep.
within those businesses to make those businesses
Mm.
better,
Yeah.
and much more automated. So I understood the premise of technology and what it can do
Mm.
in businesses. But having Greg's development background and his team's development background has just meant that we can build
Yep.
fast, we can build properly, and we can build. It's not always perfect, but we get the product out there. We give it to our customers. If they like it, it's great. If they don't, we make changes and we make quick alterations, and we're very quick to move. So
Yeah, and one of the things you did share, which is again such a nice success story, is the fact that you're able to do so much with this small team. I mean, for you, what has been some of your key ways of building up a culture of a strong bond, where things are getting done, but also there's a lot of unity around the mission, the values, along with just creating like a better future per se, a better future for the world.
I think I think it's very hard to build a great culture with a team of 5 people. I think you need to build good bonds with the people that you're working with. But in terms of building a culture, first of all, you're not geographically all together. Our
Mm.
developers are in Vietnam, and Greg and I are together, and I've got a marketing assistant, Tom, that helps me out with a bunch of things. But when it comes down to it, we're not in each other's pockets the whole time.
Mm.
So what
Okay.
that means is that you do need to be, number one, a self starter,
Mm.
and number two, it really rests on your shoulders. There's nowhere to hide, and
Mm.
there's nowhere to run. So if you're screwing up or if you're not doing the work, you get
Yep.
shown up pretty quickly.
Mm.
And I actually think it's a positive thing when you're building a
Mm.
business.
Yep.
Creating a culture. I mean, I've built a big business with 500 staff before, so
Yep.
creating a culture with a lot of staff is a thing that comes with more people.
Mm.
I think we've got a culture of just get it done now.
Mm.
That's really our
Yep.
business culture. Just get
Mm.
it done, and we're super customer focused, super
Mm.
customer centric. Whatever the
Yep.
customer needs, we create, because we know if it's good for them, it's going to be good for other customers. And really, focus is also important. You're a team of 5
Yep.
people. You need to focus. You know,
Yep.
we've 3x'd our revenue the last 2 years in a row with a team
Wow.
of 5, and
Mm,
we're on target to do the same again this year. So
that's crazy.
I think you can't do that without focus and without we've got a super business model as
Mm,
well.
yep.
That our economic model of our business
Mm,
is very driven towards revenue expansion on a
yep.
customer by customer basis, and that's what we've wanted to build from the start.
Yep. That's amazing. And yeah, that's quite remarkable. Like literally 3x with just a team of 5. We touched a bit about your journey along with the company growth. I think for a lot of people, they'll also be quite keen on just hearing the use case studies on some of the remarkable experiences and transformation you're able to create for clients as well, just so that it kind of paints a picture of what PencilPay does, how it helps out customers.
Sure, absolutely. Just for a little bit of background on what we do, I think that's important for context.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you've got a bunch of these wholesale suppliers in Australia. There's about 80,000 in Australia.
Mm,
There's about 550,000 in the US. And these wholesale suppliers, they sell products to retailers and venues and tradespeople and service providers, and those people will use those products in their businesses. So it could be, a food wholesaler selling to a restaurant. It could be a building materials manufacturer selling to a tradesperson, or it could be, a probiotics business selling to a pharmacy. There's a bunch of different areas. Now, one thing all those businesses have in common is that they sell to their customers on credit terms. So their customers have 7, 14, 30, 60 days to pay them for those goods. It's called trade credit, and it's about a $600 billion industry in Australia, and it's about a $6 billion industry, so $6 trillion industry in the US. So just to give you an
that's
idea of the
crazy.
size of the sector, it's huge.
Yep.
Now, the biggest problem is these suppliers, they're not credit providers. Their success has come because they're good at sourcing or building products and selling those products to businesses. They're not good at giving credit. They're not credit
Yep.
businesses. And when you've got 1,000 customers and you're giving 500 of them credit on various different terms, it becomes out of control, and you
Yep.
can't manage you can't manage your collections and all that type of thing. So really, they've got a need for a product that sits in there as their credit management product, and that's where our product sits. Just to give you the context, we manage the credit application process the same way if you would apply for a loan. You fill out an application form for that loan. Then you have to go through an approval process where they do a credit check, and then you have to wait to pay that, usually via direct debit or something like that.
Yep.
We do the same thing, but for wholesalers. All right. Now, a couple of the stories. I mean, we work with a various number of different businesses, but some of the businesses that we work with, for example, a coffee roaster. Coffee roasters will use our platform, and previously what they've had to do was when they go and sign up a customer, they'll give the customer a bunch of equipment. They might give them $25,000 worth of equipment as part of just as part of the deal. And they might not get a contract signed for that equipment, just to say, hey, I've given you this equipment. This is the equipment list. And then they have to provide them coffee every week on 7-day payment terms, for example. And what happens is these businesses, they fall so far behind on payment, but all the coffee roasters equipment's in there, so it's not like they can stop supplying them at any point. So they're left
Yep.
in a bit of a bind. So the way our platform helps them is they use our platform to manage their contracts. So they'll get the equipment list and everything built into a contract, and that contract will have an embedded payment module, and that payment module is an area where, as the customer's onboarding, they can store their bank account details or their credit card, and we store that in a PCI compliant environment. And then what happens is they'll trade as they usually would. We store the credit card or bank account as security, and then when it comes time to bill that customer, our integration kicks in. We automatically bill that customer on a weekly basis, reconcile the accounting software of the supplier, and provide all the various receipts and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And
So
I think
that's just an example of how the product can be used.
Yeah. And, when I speak with a lot of businesses, that's one of the biggest pain points they have is literally like the amount of money that they need to claim. It just literally sitting on that table. And as you said, like, especially as the business grows or if they've got like a vast number of customers, sometimes it's just very impractical to manage. And I think your solution is very cost effective as well compared to hiring someone and managing that, from my understanding.
Yeah, it is. Look, our product is a very cheap product to use. It's a variable cost product. So
Yeah.
you'll pay a small license fee each month, anywhere from, depending on the business size, from anywhere from $49 a month up to $249 a month.
Yeah.
And then you'll pay for whatever payments that you process. And really, the whole concept of Pencil is, if you're a business that wants to be serious about giving credit, then what you'll
Yeah.
do is you'll continue to sign up all your new customers through Pencil. So
Hmm.
you'll collect a payment method for all of them, and then you'll go and sign up a bunch of your existing customers as well.
Yeah.
And what that
Hmm.
does is it means that every week, every month, you've got more and more customers that are paying their accounts through Pencil.
Yeah.
And that's where I talk about that revenue expansion on a customer basis, because we couldn't operate if we charged $49 a month. That's all.
Yeah.
So we earn our money from payment processing, and our
Yeah.
payment processing just continues to increase month after month on a per customer
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And the more they
And
like it, the more they use it.
yeah. And then you did touch on something quite important, which is the implementation journey. So what is the implementation journey? For example, if they just sign up, is it just there'll be pre-built contracts that they can start sending across to the supplier based on the industry segments that you're focused on? Is that how simple it is, or is it a bit more complex around a whole?
No, it's pretty straight. It's pretty straightforward. Like,
Yeah.
to be able to set up and implement the product takes about 15 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
All you do is sign up, and then you'll connect your accounting software and maybe your inventory software if you've got it. Once you've done that, that'll sync everything across. So it'll sync all the customers in live time. It'll sync all your invoices in live time. And then we've got a little wizard that helps you build your credit application forms. Then we give you an iframe. So you build the credit application forms, and then you can put the forms up on your website, and
Okay.
then you can just
Nice.
direct customers there.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of features built into the Pencil dashboard,
Yeah.
which allow you to collect money, process payments,
Yeah.
manage customers, manage their credit,
Yeah.
you can do credit checks and all that type of thing as well through our
Yeah.
platform. So yeah, it's a nice third system for businesses. They'll have their
Yeah.
accounting system, their inventory system, and we're that beautiful third system that fits in and kind of binds everything together.
Yeah, yeah. I think that especially like being able to embed things on the website is a game changer because literally just sending an email around the contract, like it all adds up in terms of hours worked as well. I mean, I know we're literally running out of time on the podcast session. Before we end, it would be just nice if you can unpack what I think luck is definitely one key element of a lot of people's success, which is just being at the right place at the right time. Whether it's your CTO just happening to visit you and going, "Hey, I can help you solve that problem." But in terms of maybe some three key fundamentals, what's kind of helped you overcome challenges and continue to be persistent to achieve where you are at the moment?
Yeah. So look, I think I think I've had some challenges in business. So my core challenge in business was my previous business, Acquire Learning. The business went up, and then it went up and
Mm,
up and up really quickly. And then the government completely pulled funding from the whole sector, and it went down very quickly as well at the same time. And then there was a lot of blowback from that afterwards.
mm,
So dealing with that was quite time consuming and took a big chunk out of my business life, but taught me a hell of a lot along the way. So
mm,
I think the main thing is learning from your previous experiences, um, and not so much doing things completely differently,
mm,
because we didn't do a huge amount wrong. However, understanding that you need to build things around you to protect your
mm,
business, and one of those things was for us was never have a business that's reliant on any government funding ever again. So
Yep.
we built a software as a service business. Our clients pay us for the services that we provide directly, and we don't rely on the government for anything. So that was, that's just one thing to come out of, out of the way that we operate. So, I think learning along the way. Aside from that, you just got to go with the flow. Shit happens. You're gonna come up against, there's going to be a bunch of people that say no to you, and the investors will say no, and then you'll get pissed off because they invest in something else that goes bust. And there's been a lot of that in the last couple of years. But whatever, you just keep rolling on and roll with it. As long as you're still in business, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it's well said. I mean, what I really hear from you when you share all that stuff around, whether it's don't be over reliant on just government, but I think just even any startup, it's more around don't be over reliant on just one customer to just things happening. One of the things that I just hear from you is the fact that, just take every day by day, expect things will go good, things will go bad, but just focus on the actions that you can control is what I really hear from you.
100%. Like, you can plan, but it never goes perfectly to plan. So
I think there's a saying from Mike Tyson. Yeah, you've got to plan until you get punched. Yeah,
exactly right. You can have the best plan in the world, but as soon as one thing deviates off a really specific plan, then you're off that plan. So you got to have a general plan. You got to try a bunch of different things. Keep trying stuff. We've tried, the amount of things that we've tried to go to market has just been ridiculous, and nothing ever compared to just working with partners and getting great product market fit for the right customer. And that's what technology is about, getting the right customer with the right product who really needs it.
Yep. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining today's podcast. It was just so fabulous to learn about your journey. I think the key themes around timing to market, to the fact that you don't need a large workforce to create remarkable results. Sometimes it is thinking strategically, but also I think your lessons around just the fact that good things will happen, bad things will happen. Just take it day by day, because I think that's when things mess up, is when something unexpected happens, and it's really the mindset around how do you solve for that. Some people react in a way where they're quite stressed and it's like the end of the world, and other people just go, okay, well, this is expected. Let me just focus on what I can control. So I think it's such a beautiful reminder on just focusing on the basics.
Yeah, the way I look at it, I've dealt with worse. So there's no, if you've had really shitty days, no doubt you've probably you've always dealt with worse. So you'll be fine.